Hello and welcome back to another episode of Clearing with Kate. We just did our energy exchange where we found out that the energy that the collective would most benefit from releasing today was the energy of bitterness. And the new energy, the higher vibing energy that we could call in its place was justice. So we did our energy exchange, which is when we do a very brief breathing exercise where we intentionally, with our physical form, release that energy of bitterness. And that's when we start to think about what it would feel like to call in a new energy, a better energy, a more beneficial energy for us for the rest of our day. And today, that was the energy of justice. So we're releasing bitterness and calling in justice. So we did that. That's step one. We begin the process of softening our body to really saying, hey, you know what? You're holding on to something that isn't really great for you today. And let's let you release that. So we did the step one, now we do step two, which is when we take our spiritual response technique, dowsing charts, and we dive into this a little bit further. We dive into the subconscious, we dive into the collective consciousness where all of this information is living. Past, present, future, beginning, middle, and end, all of the language, all of the knowledge, all of the truth that has ever and will ever exist is at our fingertips. We just have to ask. We just have to be here, be present right here, right now in this moment, allowing our conscious awareness to access the unconscious, to access the subconscious, to access those things that may be hidden otherwise because we are just going about our day. We are just right here in this, reality, or perhaps, probably, we are, again, thinking about the past. We're worried about what happened yesterday or last week or a year ago, or we are, future tripping, thinking about, oh my gosh, well, tomorrow I have to do this and next week I have to do that. And what about this bill? And what about that thing? And so when we're so stuck, splitting our attention between the past and the future, we don't have access necessarily, at least in the immediacy, to know what is going on beneath the surface inside of ourselves. We're not aware of our body. We're not aware of the energies that we're feeling here. We're not aware of what is fueling all of those fears, worries, and anxieties of, again, either the past or the future. So this is when we drop in and we get present together right here, we can access all knowledge, all truth, all wisdom, all awareness. It's possible. Anybody can do it. If you'd like to get trained on how to do it, reach out because I can talk to you about that. Okay, so step one was completed. We did our energy exchange. Now we're going to step two, which is we're going to dive into these charts. These charts were developed back in the 1980s. They've been modified a little bit and edited and added on to here and there since then, but I find them to be such an incredible tool for searching through this collective consciousness. Such an incredible tool for searching in my own subconscious. I do this work on myself all the time. I did a ton of work on myself last night and this morning because I was feeling icky. And it's so wonderful because now when I'm feeling icky, I don't have to wonder what's going on. I don't have to ask, how do I treat it? What do I got to do? I just ask the charts and the charts tell me. I just ask the charts and the charts let me know what might be going on. And then they can also tell me how I can release it, which is the best part of all. It's not just about finding the information. It's also getting some guidance on how to feel better. So we're going to get started on this bitterness thing, and we're going to say, what is the root of this bitterness? What is going on here that is creating this bitterness? We're going to go back to our map of consciousness. This is so exciting. This came up last week, and I'm glad it's coming up again because it's such a great visual, right? Here in the red, as you can see, I know you can't read these words, but here in the red is dense energies, dense emotions, dense mindset, dense feelings. Things like apathy, hopelessness, blame, despondency, regret, humiliation. This is all these dense energy here. And then as you go up in density, you go up in frequency, you might find things like pride, affirmations, indifference. You can find optimism and harmony, wisdom, love, serenity, bliss, enlightenment, and pure consciousness up there at the top. So because this came up, what we do is we just douse this chart. And this is when you use your pendulum to allow you to get a direction, right? And you can see right now my pendulum is already telling me what direction it's saying. We're going all the way over into this chart right here. And we're going, it's low. So if my pendulum wanted me to go up the chart to find an energy, a higher energy up here, she would tell me with her direction, go up this way. But she's not. She's going to come all the way over here. And then I'm going to be giving you a no right here, which is like, this is where we're starting. We're at despising, we're at vindictiveness, we are at condemnation. You know, this is how low we are. This is the frequency of this bitterness. This bitterness is making us vindictive. It's giving us the sense of condemnation, either of ourselves or to other people. It's making us despise other people. We are so bitter. We are despising either other people, or again, this might be about ourselves. We're going to find out here. So then I'm going to ask, what can we do here to elevate us up past that low frequency? What can we do to take the energy of vindictiveness, condemnation, despising? How can we go from here and bring it all the way up into love, into awareness, into a sense of I am one with all and all is one with me, and we can be operating inside of harmony. So now I'm going to say, what do we do? What do we got to do first to get us up that map of consciousness? So I go to my chart 12 because that's where my pendulum is telling me she wants to go. And that's where we're going to find some information. So dysfunction of error consciousness. Again, error consciousness, the note that I have from the training books that I've been through regarding spiritual response technique says that the spirit is required to go through a version or some kind of error consciousness as part of its process of individuation. So when you need to individuate, which is I was a part of all of source, I was a part of the whole. Now I need to separate myself out, become kind of a branch off of the whole. But in order to do that, I almost have to get into error mindset, because I have to believe for a moment, in order to become an individual, I have to believe at least for a moment that I am no longer a part of source. And even though that belief is in error, because it's not right, it's not true, it's necessary. It's necessary for us to believe that in order to experience life as an individual, to experience individual consciousness, individual awareness, individual perception, individual experience of all that is around us. And again, that individuation process is very important to spirit. Spirit wants to experience itself through us as individuals. Consciousness wants to be able to experience its entire infinite nature. And the way that it does that is by individuating. It does that by branching off into an infinite number of us, an infinite number of beings, an infinite number of essences, an infinite number of different frequencies, so that it can experience its whole breadth of self. So it's a requirement that we experience that error consciousness, which is like, no, I am not a part of the whole, I am an individual. It's an important thing, but it can also lead to, you know, some of those lower density energies, because now I am no longer believing that I am part of the whole. Now I believe that I'm an individual, and now I can believe that I am broken, that other people are broken, that other people are a bother, that I am a bother, you know, all those things. So that can lead to these kinds of lower density energies. And it's not bad. We all need to go through the experience of feeling lower density energies. And we all get to experience the process of transformation. We all get to experience the process of growth from that error consciousness of I am separate, I am bad, you are separate, you are bad, into the growth of, okay, I was separate, but I am also worthy of becoming whole again. I did individuate, and now I'm worthy of becoming whole again. I was individual awareness, and now I am able to come back into connection again. And so we're releasing all of us now from any stuckness we may have in playing out that role of the individual, and playing out that role of me against you, and playing out that role of separation and disconnection. Ooh, okay, well that's fun. What else can we do? So let's just check really quick, because this is fun. Now where are we at? So we were down here in despising. Just by doing that, where is our energy now? And my pendulum's just going to keep going up, 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 up. And as soon as she starts to go, as soon as she starts to go sideways, then I know, wow. Okay, so shit, just doing that one thing brought us all the way up into higher energy. Just doing that one thing, just calling it out and being like, I know, I was separate, now I'm not. I was whole, then I was separate, now I can be whole again. Just that simple thing shifted all of our awareness, brought us all out of the despising, vindictive, condemnation into love, into oneness, into wholeness. So now what do we do to look at when it comes to this bitterness? Anything else as it relates to this bitterness that we can look at? Okay, so we go to Fall of Consciousness, which is really interesting. This chart is called the Fall of Consciousness. And so it's so interesting that what's happening here is that this clearing is a very spiritual clearing. That's what this is telling me. This clearing is not, oh, you need to break up with your boyfriend because he's using you and whatever. This clearing is not about anything in this physical realm. This is a spiritual clearing we're doing today. So cool. Thanks, Spirit, for that. All right, so what do we got going on here now about Fall of Consciousness? So yeah, we ate the apple and we fell from grace. This is so interesting. So in the evening time, I usually like to do some studying. I have many, many, many books, and I pick a book and I pick a spot in the book and I read it and I study on it and I meditate on it. And a lot of times I'll do SRT around it to kind of like gain information or just kind of help it assimilate. And I was studying the Garden of Eden last night, and again, anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but it's so interesting that this is coming up today. And so I think we just need to say we release ourselves from the guilt and the shame that was created during the experience of that separation from God, during the experience of sinning, of breaking the rules, of disobeying. The Garden of Eden represents that place that once was wholeness, and then the splintering occurred, the shattering occurred, and we became individuals. We were no longer, one with God after that point. After that point, we decided that we were going to fully dive into the experience of humanity. We wanted and needed to experience what it was like to flee from God on some level, to say, I need to know what it's like to be an I, to be a self, and to not follow the prescribed rules of existence, of good and bad, of right and wrong, of whatever. I must experience what it's like to be an individual. That's where this happened. And so again, we're just clearing all of us from guilt and shame now. And you can say, I release myself from all guilt and shame now. And you can also say, I release myself from the belief that I'm unworthy of justice. Because for many of you, you may have been operating inside of self-punishment for a very long time, which is that bitterness you're feeling. You're feeling bitter on a spiritual level because you don't feel like you are worthy of justice, because you feel like you are a sinner that is needing condemned. And again, this is not necessarily, probably not, in your conscious awareness. This is not something that you're going to go, oh yeah, Kate, I really resonate with that. No, what you probably will resonate with, though, is just a sense of that lower vibe, that dense vibe. You can absolutely resonate with guilt and shame. And you can be like, yeah, that kind of makes sense because my whole life, I've just felt this guilt. And I haven't even known where it was coming from. I just felt guilty. I felt wrong for everything I did. I felt like I was being bad. And it could mean, it could be coming out of nowhere. Like you literally don't understand it. You're just feeling the vibration of shame and guilt. And again, this is something that has been gifted to you through the process of individuation, through the process of the symbolism of, again, the symbolism that we're looking at here is the Garden of Eden, that separation from God, that separation from source, that separation from light, the separation from love and all that is. Whew, okay. Yeah, I feel better already just kind of like calling that out and seeing that and releasing it. And it's really, I really do think that symbolism matters. And whether or not you believe in the story, believe in the actual literal story of Adam and Eve, if you can get yourself to accept that that concept of the separation is something that your soul has gone through and is being influenced by, I do think that that can benefit you. Because again, if we don't acknowledge what's happened to us, we're gaslighting ourselves. We're gaslighting ourselves into thinking that our souls have not experienced the full intensity of everything that they have experienced. And if you disavow or do not claim all that you've experienced, you're going to be operating out of blindness. You're going to be operating from a place of disillusionment. Genuinely, you are operating from a place of disillusionment if you do not acknowledge and accept all the things that you have been through. And now I am speaking not only spiritually, but literally. When you deny what you have been through, you're operating in disillusionment. You're gaslighting yourself. You are not claiming and owning your experiences. You're not claiming and owning the energy that those experiences have brought into your body, heart, mind, spirit, and soul. And when you're not acknowledging those energies and you're pretending they don't exist, they are actually then more powerful because they are this invisible force that is absolutely, the horsepower that is operating the machinery that is you. But when you acknowledge them, you say, yes, I admit that I've been through really hard things, again, spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever. I admit that I've been through really hard things. And I admit that those things created an energy inside of me that is now fueling me. You can let them go. You can say, I don't want it. I don't need it. It's not mine. Again, you're going to hear me say those words over and over and over again. And once you release yourself from those energies, then you can call in new beliefs, new energies you want to be your fuel, the new energies that you want to be your horsepower. Do you want shame and guilt to be your horsepower, or do you want love, acceptance, truth, joy, connection to be your horsepower? We're in the year of the horse, right? What is going to be your horsepower for 2026? What energies is your horse made out of? You get to decide what energies your horse is made out of. You get to decide what is driving your 2026. You get to decide what baggage you let go of as you move into the rest of your life. And you can do this again on a spiritual, mental, emotional, physical level. Okay. Anything else here related to this bitterness that the collective would benefit from seeing and hearing from me right now? So I'm going to say, is this 4 or is this 8D? 8D. The pendulum moved before I even got the words out of my mouth because time is delayed here between my mind and my words, but the pendulum is like really responsive before I can even, a lot of times it's responding before I can even think the thoughts, certainly before I can say the thoughts. A lot of times the pendulum is already 5 steps ahead. Okay, so now on this chart, sorry, you can't see this chart. I'll just kind of show you. Not like you can read it, but I think it's fun to see. So now what on this chart, the inside, okay, the inside, interesting. That's really important. Our soul family. Our soul family. So something is going on here with our soul family. We're going to find out what about our soul family. What do you want to show us? What do you want to tell us about our soul family? Is this type 2 separates or is this 26? 26. Okay, great. So something on my chart, 26, as it relates to our soul family. Oh, interesting. It says blocks to creation and grace. I have this on my other chart too. So we are blocked to our creation and to the grace that is needed as part of the creation process. This actually came up in a private clearing that I did for a YouTube follower yesterday. So that video it's unlisted. It's kind of hidden in my comments. You can find it if you want to. But yeah, it came up for that person as well. So blocks to creation and blocks to the grace that is needed in our creation. And this is a soul family issue. And so I think it's really actually beautiful that this is coming up again, because it confirms for me what I said in that start of that video, which is like, even though I'm doing this clearing for this individual person, again, we are all part of the same collective. We are all part of source. We're all part of spirit. We're all part of awareness. It's awareness that we all share in, that again, we don't really have a lot of access to most of the time because we're too busy worrying about the past, thinking about the future, not dropping into right here, right now, and not dropping into our third eye, our own inner knowing. You know, that third eye is what, That's where I get my information from. So yeah, this just confirms for me that a lot of us are going through this right now, which is we have relationships, soul relationships, and they can show up in the present moment here in this reality. And they can also be influential soul relationships as happening in the other realms and other realities and other lifetimes and other parallels. They're soul relationships that are blocking us to our role as creator and to our ability to have grace, compassion, trust, understanding for ourselves as creators going through a process. Because creation is a process. It is not an endpoint. It is not about the final product. Creation is about the experience of taking an energy that exists inside of you and turning it into something tangible, into something real. And sounds like from the charts, we have connections that are interfering with that process. And that interference is part of what is fueling our bitterness. That interference is part of what is allowing us to continue to feel disconnected from source. And it's so interesting because it's almost like on some level, the potential is there for our soul connections to help us be even more aware that we are all one, that we are all part of source, that we are all connected to a collective awareness. And then there are some soul dynamics that actually interfere with that. They make us feel more alone, more separate. And I'm getting right now that there's some relationships here for some of us that are playing into that. They are convincing us even more that we are alien, that we are disconnected, that nobody gets us, that nobody understands us, and potentially that no one also will understand our creation, that no one will understand who we are when we want to bring something to the table, and that the thing that we want to bring to the table will be rejected, unloved, misunderstood. So releasing all of us now from any of those soul connections that are not serving our highest good here and now as creators, and that are giving us the impression that we are disconnected. And, I'm also going to say, I'm just calling for healing for all of those relationships. Maybe the answer is not necessarily to just throw those relationships away or to disconnect from those relationships, but to ask for healing of those relationships, because healing is absolutely possible. I have one relationship in particular in my life that I'm thinking about right now. This is a human that is currently in my life, and I think I've known them for about 4 years. And for the first 3 years, it was such a challenging dynamic. There was respect there, but it was such a challenging dynamic. And it was only through the process of, I feel like for me, SRT, that all of the layers that were creating that confusion, that were creating that disconnect, that were creating this sense that like we are alien to each other, we do not understand each other, we cannot get on the same page. It was only through SRT that all of those layers were able to be broken down. And now this is a very healthy relationship for me. It is a very healthy dynamic for me, because now I recognize the sameness in both of us. I recognize the way in which this person is actually very much like me, the way that this person can understand me and I can understand them, even when we may disagree, even when we may not be on the same page literally with things that are happening in our life, but that I now feel that we still understand each other. And I now feel that my input is understood in a way that was not understood before, when we had all those layers of energetic crap between us. And I will tell you that a year ago, I did not think that this relationship could ever be better, could ever be healed. I just sort of thought it was a relationship that was just never going to work out. And this is not a romantic relationship. This is just a human that is in my life that I have to be around pretty frequently. So Spirit is calling me to say, in this particular case, these are not necessarily people who you're supposed to just cut off, but these are people who you can ask for healing. And we're just going to ask for anything that we can do here with SRT to really clear all the muck out of the way of these dynamics, so that you all can function as creators without the fear of this dynamic and this person misunderstanding you, and that you can feel and sense the oneness and the sameness between you in a way that you haven't been able to before. So I hope that's helpful for some people. it'd be great to hear. If this resonates for you, I would love to hear it and have you tell me if you sensed a shift or if anything happened here. So I got a couple things going on here. Is this chart 32, chart 1, or fragmented ego? So a fragmented ego, and again, this makes so much sense, right? When we're talking about this as a spiritual healing, but also as a healing of what we experience here in this realm. The ego is a bit of both in my mind. The ego is both a spiritual, component of who we are, as well as a physical component of who we are, that because it does have to show up for us in this physical realm. Our ego will absolutely be the thing that is present in this physical reality, whatever reality we've dropped into right here in this plane, in this parallel, in this realm. And yet I also believe that our ego exists on a spiritual plane as well. Our ego exists in two spaces at the same time. And there can be, fragments there, and that our ego is not exactly sure right now how to show up. Our ego doesn't know if it should still be showing up as itself in the spiritual realm, or how it's needed to show up here in the physical realm. Maybe it has been stuck in habit. That's what I'm getting right now. Our ego has been stuck in the habit of disconnection, the habit of bitterness, the habit of feeling misunderstood, the habit of feeling alienated. And now it's like, oh, you mean I can integrate? Oh, you mean I can now show up as whole because I no longer have to be operating inside of the outdated belief that I am separate from all and that no one will understand me? I mean, wow, yeah, what a wake-up call for the ego when we get to tell the ego, you are understood. You are understood on a deep, deep spiritual level, more than you will ever understand. More than this human brain is probably capable of imagining. There is a realm and a world where you are so understood and so loved and so accepted that your ego would have no need to fracture, no need to splinter. It can just be held. That's the word I'm being called to say. In the spirit realms, your ego is held because it is with greater consciousness and greater awareness. It is with source, it is with light, it is with truth. And when your ego is hanging out with truth, your ego can let everything else go and just be like, oh yeah, I did my role here in being the middleman between the spirit realm and the physical realm. I did my role here in helping this being exist in this physical plane, in this reality. And I too am part of spirit. I too am one with spirit. I too am one with source. I too am one with all that is. I am not this separate thing anymore. I am integrated into the whole. I am integrated into the whole being that is Kate. I am integrated into the whole being that is Sam, Steve, Mary, whoever you are. And you can say, I now firmly believe that my ego is whole and accepted as it is. I now firmly believe that my ego can integrate into who I am as a whole being. Okay. So this is already a long clearing. Holy crap, is that almost 30 minutes? Wowee. All right, so I'm just gonna ask, what percent are we blocked to justice? 0%, beautiful. And what percent are we open to justice? Okay, 100%, that's beautiful. I'm gonna ask, is there anything else, any final thing that we can do for this collective today as it relates to this issue, how to change your life? We're gonna end here with Grandma's good advice. We're gonna end with Grandma's good advice. How do we change our life? How do we shift out of, the energy of bitterness and into the energy of justice? And this says, take a break. Allow yourself to take a break from the judgment. Allow yourself to take a break from the thoughts of separation, the feeling of separation. Allow yourself to drop into your meditations, knowing, believing, and accepting that you are one with all, that you are a beautiful fragment of light that is traversing the universe right now and will find its way back to wholeness, back to home later. All right, everybody. We're going to do 100% of 100% of mop up, which is when we just say anything that needs cleared that I didn't get to today on the charts is being cleared. And our new replacement energy, other than justice, is abundance. Okay. The energy of abundance is what we're calling in right now. An abundant feeling of love, an abundant feeling of acceptance, and an abundant feeling of wholeness. That's what I'm calling in for all of us now. Okay, let's take a minute to drop back in. Finding ourselves right here, right now, in this very present moment, not worried about the past, not concerned with the future, allowing ourselves to accept ourselves as we are, whole. A beautiful part of spirit, a beautiful part of source that is just off having its own experience, and then it will return to wholeness at another time. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time on another episode of Clearing with Kate.